guys, welcome back to Callie and Beans Books. I'm Brittany, and today it's time for my monthly book corner. So I only got 2 books in the month of May, and those were from Callie and Sarah for our quarantine exchange. They actually surprised me with 2 books and 2 bookish items. Those exchange videos will be linked in the description below, so you can take a look at them. They got me The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien as well. So the beginning of the month, I kept the momentum of my reading up from my Owls Readathon. So I got through 5 books and then I kind of hit a slump. So I haven't really been reading as much the last couple of days. I've actually been doing other hobbies and stuff like that. So I've only read 5 books this month, which isn't bad for me, but I just feel like I could have done more reading. The first book I read was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzi Lee. The follow-up to this, The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzi Lee, is our May Serpent and Badger Book Club book of the month. So I figured I should probably read the first one before jumping into the second sibling. This we follow Henry Montague, Monty for short, as he goes on his European tour with his best friend Percy and his little sister Felicity. Now, he is anticipating this tour to be full of gambling, alcohol, and waking up in the arms of a man or a woman, and he is looking forward to it until his father brings him back to earth and goes, "Nope, you're getting a chaperone. I don't want to hear of any foolery or anything like that, so you're going to have a chaperone to make sure that you don't overindulge." He's not too fond of that, but he goes with it and ends up not taking the tour that he thought he would because they are robbed on their way from one point to another, and they have to go through trying to figure out why they were robbed and get thrown into this whole new adventure, and it is amazing. I loved the banter in this book. I loved the relationships, and I also really loved the way Monty goes on this journey. Even though this tour is supposed to be fun and so excited about it, he ends up having to reevaluate his life and reevaluate his values and kind of understand what it is to be a woman in this time period, as well as a dark-skinned man in this time period. So I really enjoyed the way we see Monty develop into this amazing man and kind of take a step outside of his box and out of his bubble and realize that the world doesn't revolve around him and not everyone has the same experiences as him, no matter how much he wants them to. So I really enjoyed the way we see Monty develop, and the ending of the book was perfect, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get more from Mackenzi Lee. Overall, I gave The Gentleman's Guide a 4 out of 5. So the other 4 books I read this month were actually adult romance. So I know not everyone likes adult romance. So if you want to head out, that's totally fine. We'll see you next month. But otherwise, I have a couple of recommendations that aren't full of adult romancy stereotypes. The first being Undercover Bromance by Lyssa K. Adams. I read her first book, the Bromance Book Club, in February, and this is the follow-up, and I absolutely adore Lyssa K. Adams' books. They are amazing. I love her writing style. I love the characters, the banter, the relationships. In this story, we actually follow Liv and Brayden. Liv is the younger sister to Thea, who we're introduced to in the first one. Brayden's the founder of the Bromance Book Club, which Gavin joins in the first book. So we do have continuation of the characters that we're introduced to in the first one. We're just following 2 separate characters with cameos from the first one, which I really liked. I liked that it was a continuation instead of, oh, we're picking up with 2 brand new characters even though we're in the same world. It wasn't confusing like that. We're seeing Thea, we see Gavin, we see all the other guys. It's amazing. Liv gets fired because she finds out her boss is sexually harassing his employees, and she's not having any of it. So she's like, I'm vowing to take this man down because he is a garbage human. And Brayden's like, I'll help you. And she's like, I don't need your help. And he's like, but I can help you. So that was one fun thing, was that Brayden's like, I'm not trying to help you because I see that you need the help. I'm trying to help you because he's a garbage human and I think he needs to be taken down. So that was a really nice way that their relationship was starting to bloom and blossom. It wasn't Brayden trying to take over Liv and trying to control the situation. He was just there for the ride and trying to help Liv get through this. Overall, it's amazing, and I really do enjoy this story. I have to wait till October for the third one. I'm not happy about it, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading the next one. I absolutely love everything about this story, and I can't say enough. And I do recommend, if you're looking for a nice adult romance that doesn't have a lot of smut, that doesn't have a lot of like the stereotypical adult romance, then I definitely would look into picking up a copy or listening to the audiobook of The Bromance Book Club and Undercover Bromance by Lyssa K. Adams. So the next book I picked up was Fumbled by Alexa Martin. This is the follow-up to her first book, which was Intercepted, which I also read in February. I absolutely adored that one, so I couldn't wait to read Fumbled. I wasn't disappointed with this one. I just wasn't as into the story as I was with Intercepted. I really enjoyed the characters. We're following Poppy and her 10-year-old son Ace as she's trying to provide the best life for Ace as she can. She works at a club and she knows that it's not the best job, but pay the bills, and Ace gets to have his mom during the day. And then a blast from the past shows up at the club, TK Moore, who is a star wide receiver for the Denver Mustangs. Now, you don't have to know football to read Playbook series by Alexa Martin. I just love football, so I love these stories. We're following Poppy as she's accepting TK back into her life and letting him know about what's been going on in her life for the last 10 years, and she introduces him to Ace. And that is the biggest turning point of the story, is we have to get past some of the secrets and the reasons why they broke up in high school, because they were high school sweethearts, and one thing led to another, a bunch of secrets happened, and now it's 10 years later and they're reconnecting. You can kind of guess what happens. That's one thing that I was like, okay, this is pretty predictable. One thing that I actually did enjoy was getting more of the Lady Mustangs, and it wasn't as catty in this one as it was in Intercepted, which I really enjoyed. We actually had more of the strong, independent women. It was awesome getting that vibe from the characters and getting an idea that not all of the women that are dating or married to athletes depend on their athletes. They have their own careers, they have their own ambitions, and I absolutely loved this. I adored it. I wasn't pulled into it as much as I was in Intercepted, but I did really enjoy the story. So I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. So the next book I picked up was Meet Cute by Helena Hunting. Now, I fell in love with her writing style in February as well when I read Good Luck Charm, and so I was looking forward to jumping into this book, and I'm really happy I did. I really enjoyed this story. We follow Kaylin and Daxton, and this is a dual perspective, which I'm actually really enjoying the dual perspective when it comes to adult romance. I really like seeing how the characters develop and their relationship develops in the eyes of both characters instead of just one over the other. So I'm really enjoying that from Helena Hunting, and I hope to get more. We start off with both of them in law school. Kaylin is actually on her way to her first class on her first day of law school, and she runs into Daxton, who is the actor of her childhood crush from the popular TV show, and she totally fangirls out for like 5 minutes and then realizes what she's doing and is completely embarrassed for the next 5 minutes, so she rushes off to class where he is also in her class. So they have a nice rivalry for the next 3 years in law school. It's friendly competition, and after they graduate law school, she's like, I don't want anything to do with him. So it's been 8 years since Kaylin has seen Daxton, and she still has this grudge because they finished next to each other in their ranking. So he was number 1, she was number 2 of their class, and she blames him for not coming in first of their class. He doesn't realize that. He has no idea. He knows that he was first, she was second in the class. They had some friendly competition, but he has no idea why she's mad at him. Well, the reason why they get back into each other's lives is because his parents go to Kaylin for the trust for their 13-year-old daughter, Emmy. She wasn't expecting it, but she's like, I can be professional. I can do this. It's just a trust. This is what I do for a living. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I'll write up the draft and never have to see him again. Well, tragedy hits, and his parents pass away in a car crash, leaving Emmy in Daxton's custody. And he has to maneuver losing his parents, becoming the guardian of his 13-year-old sister all at once, and he has nowhere else to turn but to Kaylin because she's in charge of her trust. So she's in charge of her money, and Daxton is now in charge of her. So it gets very complicated very quickly. So we follow Kaylin and Daxton's relationship going from enemies to friends to lovers, and it's a wonderful progression. I really enjoy getting to know the characters and getting to know their relationship and getting the reveal of what actually happened in law school that caused Kaylin to have this grudge on Daxton and how they get past it, and it's actually really lovely. And I really do enjoy this story, and I look forward to reading more from Helena Hunting. Overall, I gave this a 4 out of 5. So the last book I finished in the month of May was Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I gave this a 3 out of 5. I'm slowly realizing that I'm not really as hyped up on Christina Lauren as other people are. I enjoyed their writing style, I enjoy their characters, I enjoy their stories. I'm just not as in love with them and not as hyped about it as other people are. So I've only read 3 out of her stories, but I didn't really enjoy 2 out of the 3. So I'm like, It makes it hard for me to go out and want to pursue reading more of their stories. Overall, it was a good story. In Love in Other Words, we're following Macy, who is a pediatric resident, the critical care unit at a hospital in California. And she loves her job, she loves what she does, and she's engaged to a prominent artist in the area as well, and she really loves her life as it is. Until she runs into the love of her life from her teenage years, Elliot. And she hasn't seen him in 11 years, and it brings back a lot of emotions and a lot of doubt that she made the right decision not continuing that relationship. So we go through this story, and we're actually on a dual timeline following Macy and Elliot in high school, and then we're following Macy in her adult years, trying to figure out if she wants to pursue something with Elliot or if she's happy where she is with her fiance. I really enjoyed getting the high school Macy and Elliot. I loved seeing their progression of their friendship and relationship, and I really did enjoy that aspect, but adult Macy's kind of a pain. I didn't really like the flip-flopping, and we get the reveal of what actually happened 11 years ago really late in the story, and I felt like there was just a lot of build-up, this big climax, and then not a lot happened afterwards. I mean, we get that happy ending, we get a resolution, but it just felt like so much build-up, climax, this is a big thing, we get the reveals, we get everything, and then everything's just wrapped up in a little bow. The timeline didn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I really did enjoy reading about these characters and getting to know Macy and Elliot, and their love of reading and their love of vocabulary and words is amazing, and I really enjoyed that. But there's just other parts of the story that I'm like, I didn't really like. So overall, I might not pursue reading Christina Lauren in the future, at least just for right now, just because like I haven't been impressed in the last 2 books that I've read by them. But maybe it's because these are some of their backlisted stories, and I really enjoyed one of their newer stories, which is actually on my shelf. You can kind of see it above. That's The Unhoneymooners. I really enjoyed that story. But the last 2 that I've read just didn't really do much for me. So I will look into it in the future. Just know that I'm not on the hype train for Christina Lauren at this point. So that is it for the books I finished in the month of May. For the last book that I'm currently reading, it's The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the finale in her Folk of Air series, and we're following Jude as she is making her way through Fairy and Carden and kind of picking up where the Wicked King left off, like a series should. We're getting more backstory to Carden and how he grew up, and we're getting more of how Jude actually feels about Carden in this story, and I'm all for it. I absolutely love this one. I think this one's my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, I really do love the way we see more of Jude and Carden's relationship blossom and get more revelations and more of exactly how they feel for each other and exactly how their relationship is. We get more of Jude and Taryn, because their relationship has been really rocked throughout this series as well, and we get more of why Taryn did the things she did. I just really love it. I highly recommend the Folk of Air series. It is kind of hard to get into. I've seen a lot of back and forth with people in some of the Facebook groups, and I get it. It's a very rich series. There's a lot of world building that needs to happen. There's a lot of descriptions, so it's not for everybody, but I do really enjoy the Folk of Air series, and I'm very happy with the conclusion so far. I don't have a final rating because I'm not done with it, but it's pretty high up there. So besides reading this month, I actually started getting into watching more Disney movies, and not just the ones that are my favorites, the ones I always go back to. I decided one day that I didn't know what I wanted to watch. I was just on Disney Plus scrolling through like, I don't know what to watch. And that's when I decided to watch all of the Disney movies in chronological order. So I went to the Walt Disney Studios Wikipedia page. I know that's not the best source, but that was the easiest one where I could get all of the movies from Walt Disney Animation Studios in chronological order, starting with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Don't get me wrong, there are movies in the 40s, but I skipped through those just because some of them start live action, go to animation, and they're just not the best. And at the end of it, it's my movie marathon. I get to skip movies if I want to. So I also decided to pull in the Disney Toon Studios. That's the studios that put out the direct video sequels of a lot of the classics. So we've got Fox and the Hound 2, there's all the Cinderella follow-ups, there's the Beauty and the Beast follow-ups, and this is also the studios that has DuckTales and the Goofy movie and all of those that we know and love. So I decided to add some of those in as well. And like I said, it's my movie marathon. I can skip movies if I want to. So overall, I have a total of 80 movies. I'm just getting into the 90s right now. I finished DuckTales on Sunday. It's been a lot of fun, not gonna lie, but that's actually what's been distracting me in a way from my reading, because I will put on a Disney movie and I'll cross stitch, or I got into Disney puzzles as well, so I did a couple of those, and I was just like, I'm gonna watch some Disney movies and do some Disney things. That's kind of what I'm doing on the side besides reading. If you want to follow along with me, definitely let me know and I can share the sheet that I'm keeping track of all the movies for you. I don't have a set timeline for this. I feel like if I put a timeline on this, I'm going to get overwhelmed. I'm not going to feel like this is something fun. It's going to be more of a chore. So I'm just kind of watching the movies in order. Whenever I get a chance, I'll start one, I'll pause it, I'll start it up again. It's been relaxing for the most part. There have definitely been movies where I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I really didn't like this as a kid, and moving on. But then there's my favorites like Aristocats and Fox and the Hound that I fall more in love with every single time I watch it. So yeah, that's what I've also been doing besides reading, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So the final thing that I'll talk about is my floating TBR, like I usually do with my book corners. So going forward this summer, I have 2 ideas that I want to do. One being reading Jasmine Guillory's wedding series. So the first one is The Wedding Date, the second one's The Proposal. This is the third one, The Wedding Party, and then she has The Royal Wedding, which is the 4th one, and the 5th one actually comes out in June. So that's what kind of gave me the idea of I'll read this series. And the reason why I decided to read this series is because John and I decided to postpone our wedding. People are probably thinking, why would you read a series about weddings if you can't have one? I just feel like even though I'm not having my wedding, I can enjoy weddings. So, and I've actually had my eye on this series for a while. The first book, like I mentioned, The Wedding Date, is our June book of the month for Serpent and Badger Book Club. So I'm looking forward to reading that, and I figured I'll just binge the whole series since the 5th one comes out, and I'm going to talk about it. So that video will come out later this month as well. I'll probably try to do a reading vlog with this series just because I want to try one, so I think I'm going to. So we'll see how the series readathon goes, and that's the first part of my TBR. Then the second part of my TBR, you can see the Lunar Chronicles right behind me. I'm going to jump into retellings this summer. I don't know what it is. I think it might be in my Disney movie marathon. It might be just I've been in the mood to read some really good retellings. I've also been told so many great things about the Lunar Chronicles, so that's actually where I'm going to start. And then I definitely want to read the Disney Twisted Tales retellings. And then I'm kind of up in the air. Like, if you have retellings that you absolutely love that I didn't mention already, please drop a comment, please let me know, and I will add it to my TBR just because I'm in the mood to read some retellings. There it is. TBR going forward right now is the Wedding Date series by Jasmine Guillory, and then retellings. Summer will be full of retellings. That's kind of where I'm at. That's all I have for you guys today. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and click that little bell icon. We post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And head over to Goodreads and Instagram and follow us there. All of our links will be linked below, as well as our Serpent and Badger book club, which is hosted on Goodreads. Until next time, guys. Bye.